capital discussions, OptionVue Education for, let's see, today is March 21st, 2016, first day of spring, right? Before we get started, quick disclaimer, the capital discussions is not a broker-dealer or an investment advisor. This presentation is for educational purposes only. If you don't know your situation and have no way of knowing what level of risk is appropriate for you, we're not making any specific trade recommendations. The risk of loss in trading options could be substantial, so please be aware of all of your risks prior to placing any trades. Hypothetical computer simulated trades are believed to be accurately represented. However, actual profit or loss may vary due to market factors such as liquidity, slippage, and commissions. And this is for educational purposes only. So with that out of the way, Jeff, welcome back while I transfer the ball to you. Always nice to have you back here with our group.
Thank you very much. Is there anything I have to do, Tom, to get my screen up there?
Yeah, you just have to share your screen. I think you can go, if you're on Windows, Control-Alt-D, like Delta or desktop. Give that a whirl.
Alt-D, okay.
Control-Alt-D.
Control-Alt-D. I can move this over.
I don't see anything yet. Do you see on the WebEx Event Center in the upper left the Share menu?
Yeah.
There's a Share My Screen.
Oh, yeah, it says Share My Screen. I'll keep it Monitor 1, I think. And let me move it over. Can you see anything now, Tom?
It's loading.
Oh.
I see OptionVue 7 with WebEx in the back. There we go.
Beautiful. It's okay now, then? I can
looks great.
Move forward? Okay, beautiful. Welcome, everybody. Thanks, Tom, for having me back. Always good to talk to you also. I'm going to go over some newer features. Per Len Yates, he asked me to bring up some things that maybe people take for granted or maybe never saw. I've told Tom that I came back here about 6 months ago, and of course there were some features that were added, but the things that he pointed out, I actually hadn't seen myself. So I want to share that with you guys to start off with. So I'm going to go up and click on File and Preferences, and I'm going to kind of run down the list here. And some of the things you guys probably will have seen at some point, maybe forgotten. The first thing is colors here, that you can change the colors on 1 and 2 standard deviations. That one I actually did remember, but maybe it's a good thing to remind you guys. Believe it or not, a couple things that come up fairly frequently are changing colors, font size, some flexibility with the software. This is one of them. So you can click on Change and change 1 and 2 standard deviations to the colors below. I'm going to skip over to fonts. It's recommended down here to keep it to the smallest size. There are font sizes that, to be seen, you want to keep it to the smallest. I tried both of them. Didn't seem to make much difference. One thing I also tried was this crispy. I don't know where he got that description. Crispy? I thought crispy actually did not make it crisp, so I put it back to original. So I would suggest.
Chicken, Jeff,
have you seen that, Tom?
Crispy.
What's that?
Maybe it's like Kentucky Fried Chicken, original and extra crispy.
Extra crispy? It didn't look extra crispy to me. It looked kind of, I don't know, kind of odd. I'd try it, though. Whatever you guys like, it's fine. I just did not find it extra crispy at all. Graphic analysis, I know particularly maybe with John Locke's group, so we're going to, the T+ lines, I'm going to keep it on T+. The gram dot, I think we all use that, so certainly keep the gram dot. That's where the trade's actually at versus step-through dates. And the detailed analysis, let's keep it. I kept it on regular style versus market maker style. The pro version would probably be a market maker style you might switch over to, but most of us are on the regular software, not the pro version. Jump to matrix here. going to try to move through these fairly quickly. If anyone ever wants to talk afterwards, I'm more than happy to. Legend, when we're in the matrix, there's actually some hot buttons too, but I usually keep the legend up in front of me. I don't want to have to think about what any columns are or when I'm changing columns. The shading, I leave it on the default, and we're going to show both of them. Automatically bottle volatility ramp up. No, we're going to leave that as it is. This box should be checked for horizontal skew modeling. You guys might want to check that out. Make sure that it's, of course, that's been a hot topic lately, right? So let's have it already set in place. I don't know if a lot of you have news set up on your quotes display. I don't know. When I come in the morning, I usually read MarketWatch. But if you like Yahoo Finance or MarketWatch or Street.com or Bloomberg, you can change the URL to anything you'd like. So put in what you'd like to see. It doesn't have to be Yahoo. Let me jump to the portfolio manager here. Realized gains and losses. Enable account status. Forms automatic background update feature. Whenever you update the matrix, status will update automatically. You can go in and refresh. I know several of you have brought up the Reconcile column. I'm going to make a recommendation from my point of view. Now, I was on the software from 2000 forward. The Reconcile column is for grouping and for adjustments. Try to keep it the same letter and you'll be fine. If you're adding a leg or if you're rolling up or whatever, keep them all the same. The software is automatically going to switch back to all if you switch between accounts. And I'm sure some of you have several accounts set up, maybe multiple accounts that you trade on, a backtesting account, paper trade account. It's automatically going to switch to all, and any letter that was in there is going to come up. So it's something to be aware of, but I haven't had any issues with it long as I keep the letters the same for the same trade. So again, call in if you run into something, but it seems to be working fine now. Price chart. This wasn't something I was aware of. This you can actually lock in candlesticks. You can have earnings markers come up automatically and stay that way. So you can read these yourself, but if you want these to be permanently in place, click File, Preferences, click on Price Chart, and check whatever boxes you want to see. Let's skip printing. Quotes display opens. You can double click on any symbol and open the matrix. Usually we want to go into the matrix, not the price chart or volatility chart, except for doing your homework. So that's how I have it set up. If you want to have it so that you double click and a price chart opens, that's cool. Whatever's good for you guys. Volatility chart. I leave it blank so it uses all available history. I'm certainly not trying to limit the amount of history that's coming in for implied and statistical volatility. So I would suggest just leaving this blank so you get all available history. Did this make sense, Tom? Did anybody say anything?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I was following along with my own OptionVue, and yeah, it's good.
Pretty straightforward, I think, right? I just never go into File and Preferences, and I suspect if I don't, people kind of forgot about it. I do very quickly just want to bring up again global settings, especially if there's any new trial people out there. Click on View, Default Models. There's a lot of people coming in and doing back testing, right? I mean, any mentoring program you're in, no matter what it is, these days they're saying do back testing. If you want to change the slippage here, the default is slippage and moderate to kind of give you, the theory is that you're not always going to get your limit orders filled. You might have to slide it by a nickel. If you want your back testing to be more accurate in terms of execution and closing the position, for backtesting, you might want to change slippage to small or moderate. I leave it on none. Long as the asset's liquid, I usually get in and out without much difficulty. I don't know if you all have the same experience. It depends what the asset is and the liquidity situation. So slippage is about liquidity. Commissions. I've noticed, I didn't pay a lot of attention to it before, but when you're in Think or Swim and you're in a trade, they don't include commissions into how your trade is doing. So if you want them to be in sync, you might uncheck commissions included. I personally, when I'm on this software, I want it to be as realistic as possible, so I left commissions included in my analysis. All the other defaults I would leave alone, but I know a lot of the John Locke people, again, link their SKUs for the call and put SKUs. I do not, so I'm going to leave it unchecked. Auto strike, I think this is pretty intuitive. Why is that unnatural? Here, I'm going to put it on display all. I set mine to large. I'm sure there's many of you out there doing some type of vertical spread or condors or weirdors or whatever your thing is. You probably are going to want to see the full option chain. So I set it to large on my global settings, and I think most of us these days, I might be a little presumptuous, but are trading at least weeklies and monthlies. Is that what you hear, Tom? That's what I usually hear.
Yeah, like the road trip trade uses weeklies that go out 10 weeks. So it's my problem is I'm using QuoteView, and it's limited to 1,000 symbols, and I trade SPX. So if I set it to large with all strikes, I run out of.
You run out of
100 strikes on there at once. So I have to be more selective.
Tom brought up a good point, too, the number of expirations you can bring in, too. Of course, it'll make it even bigger. Like, you go out to 10, you put out 10 weeklies. Like, you might go way out there then, possibly. Now, keep in mind, Tom brings up a good point. The size of the option chain is going to affect the flow of data coming into the software. So we want to be aware of that at any rate. If we're generally trading the front weeklies or the front monthlies, I don't know. These have been working for me. 4 expirations, 3 expirations. But you have the flexibility of changing it. So go ahead, if that'll help you. Excuse me. One more. I know this isn't the most fun stuff, but I did want to get through these settings again. Excuse me. I'm going to go over again how to just change your column settings quickly when you're in a matrix. But again, click on View and Default Matrix Format, and you can change, particularly people are changing the options cell size. Change it to whatever is appropriate for you. Market price is a midpoint between the bid and the ask. Mid-implied volatility. One thing you have to have is a trade column, because that's where you're going to do your hypothetical trades. And, of course, you have to have an existing position column, because you're going to manage the trade after you're in the position and execute it with your broker. Many of us doing verticals are using delta to position the trade. Whatever your rules are, the high probs are 6 to 10 delta. You want to have a delta column to be able to see them. And, of course, the other thing I change to fairly often is open interest, which will just say OI. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tickle. Oh boy, it's not good when you get those tickle coughs.
No, I hope you feel better.
Excuse me, Jesus. I wanted to bring up, I'm going to be putting on a trade on Canadian Solar here. but I mentioned changing columns, so I want to show you that real quick. You can use any open column or any column at all, but right-click in the column, you got about 32 settings you can change to. Pick any one you want. The one I usually use here is open interest. And I can see the liquidity on Canadian Solar very quick. This was an earnings play that we did back on March 8th. So that's what that was about. What I'd like to do, if it's okay, Tom, if I minimize this and bring up a different screen, I want to bring up a PowerPoint. Can I do it?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Let me just try real quick here. See if it comes up for you guys. Can you see that?
I can.
All righty. I'm sure you guys are enjoying me coughing in your ear. So pleasurable.
I called myself, so I know what it's like.
Sorry, you guys. We have a module. It's not that new anymore, but it's based on Len's theory about kind of dividing, not by sectors, but dividing stocks up into terms that he made up, and I'm going to go over those right now. I just want you to see them. Here's what he calls the tools: sophisticated new search algorithms. That's stuff that a programmer would talk about, so I'm not going to linger on that. But here's the 5 approaches, and I used it for this Canadian Solar, and I've been using it for the past 2 earnings seasons, and it's been working out pretty well. So the 5 things are prime movers, prime non-movers, earnings pairs, echo plays, and runners. And again, I can get this over to you guys, so I'm going to kind of go through it quick. Just let me know if anyone's interested. So prime movers, these are stocks that make big moves. The software will actually tell you what type of play to do. It'll say, like, buy a straddle on the day prior to the announcement, sell it on the day of the announcement. When you get the move, you get out. Despite buying inflated volatility, these stocks have a history of making such big moves that the straddle plays pay off. And Jim Graham, who's on today, actually has done a study that I can share with you guys at some point if you're interested in taking a look at it. The non-movers, this is the one I should have done because I did a double calendar, but these are stocks that make smaller than expected moves. So we get a calendar, or in this case, I got a double calendar, or sell a straddle on the day prior to the announcement, close it on the day of the announcement. Selling the inflated options pays off because the options tend to be overvalued, right? So if you're doing a short, you can buy them back at a lower price. It's a good thing I have a drink here to help with this thing. Earnings pairs. This strategy involves 2 stocks: a primary stock that's making its announcement and a secondary stock that is a company in the same industry. So you buy a straddle on the often non-inflated options, a secondary stock. The primary stock moves and the secondary often follows. So that's the theory. But is it a legitimate theory was the question, and that's why we've been trading this every earnings season, James, Len, and myself, and Jim's been doing a study on it. It does work, though, by the way. This is not one I've done a lot, but it did work. The other one's similar to earnings pairs, echoes. This strategy involves 2 stocks in the same industry. If the primary stock announces and jumps more than 3%, and if the secondary stock announces within 1 to 18 days, you take a position prior to the announcement that will benefit from the secondary stock moving in the same direction. It's a lot of rhetoric, right? It usually moves in the same direction. That's the idea. It's an echo of the first one. So it'd be like MasterCard and Visa. right? One has an earnings report, moves to the bull side. The other one usually follows. And Jim's tested that also. The one thing I got from Jim's study is that, and I've only done one, is that runners, which is the stocks tend to run on announcement day, but do they keep going? And these are a group of stocks that do. If the stock opens to the upside, go long for the rest of the day. If the stock opens to the downside, go short for the rest of the day. Pretty simple, right? Call or put. These are the ones that have actually really made some money, although James and I haven't been trading them that much. So it's just something I wanted you guys to see. Not going to go into any more detail. Oh, boy. I'm so sorry about this cough. That's going to be great on a recording.
No problem.
All right, so I'm going to go first before I jump in here. I want to show, because Len asked me to show this. Some of you have portfolio margin. If you want it to be included in the software, you want to check this box. This is under Info and then Securities Margins. I don't know how many out there. I don't have portfolio margin, but if you do, you might want to include it. The other thing that's been added is in BackTrader. I don't know how many of you have noticed this little calendar. I guess it initially didn't work that well, but now it should work. It's right up here next to the date. I just clicked on the little button. I changed it to March 8th. That's when I started this trade, except I did it at 9 in the morning, so I want to get back to 9 in the morning. I put it in here earlier today, so I'm hoping it's going to show up. There's part of it. And there's the other part. Again, this is going into an earnings report, starting pretty far into the negative. What I like that Len also did on here is he kind of shows historically where these trades fall. Let me drag this. Oh, thank you. Jim brought me a cough drop. Very nice of him. Again, a few things in the analysis here, because I know we have some people that are on trials. The trade is always typed out at the top here. You can have any number of lines you want. Because of the volatility situation, this is going into an earnings report in 2 days. I was only in this trade 2 days, by the way. I have more than enough lines, but if you guys want to add lines, or you can right-click in here and change the dates to whatever you want. I'm not going to spend as much time on graphic analysis this time. I'm leaving the vol where it is because that's today's vol, and the vol crush is already built into the software, so that will happen. This was a very inexpensive trade to do, and I ran it in Trade Finder, and I was going to try to spend a few moments, depending on time here, kind of just running Trade Finder real quick, because what made this an inexpensive trade, we're always looking for two things, right? To manage risk, and a lot of us are looking for brokers that'll keep our commissions low. I only had a couple $1,000s at risk here, and I was in for 2 days. He asked me to show you guys this. I don't know if you remember this. You can kind of drag the trade on the horizontal axis if you choose to. You can also zoom in or zoom out using these little tools over here. So that looks kind of goofy. Okay. I'm not going to go over targets. I think you guys know what these bars represent, 1 and 2 standard deviations. This is a pretty high prob trade. It's going to be in and out in 2 days. So I'm going to back out of here. And rather than just move forward and show you what happened with this trade, again, this trade was done off the earnings module. It was not a prime non-mover. I don't know if you remember the definitions at all, but you would probably want something that's not going to move too much. I confess to you I took a chance on this one. It's a prime mover, and it could have moved, but it worked out really well. What I wanted to do kind of quickly is run Trade Finder. I set it up ahead of time. What I was looking for were a low net price between the short and the long leg, and I found it multiple times. All I did was I put in the selected asset, this is the symbol for Canadian Solar. The symbol will show up in the window. That was the current vol situation. I used $3,000. You guys can vary it any way you want in terms of the number of contracts. I just use that to try to cover myself. For target price, use bell curve. Just click on the buttons. It'll put in the center price, future volatility. It's going up right now. And when I click on the button here, it automatically puts in, because I've updated my quotes display, automatically puts in the earnings date. Strategy was just running horizontal debit spreads. It's the only thing I ran. I showed you goals. Filters, very few filters. I do want open interest, so I put greater than or equal to 1, and avoid selling deep in the money American style options. And I just ran it. And again, I didn't get anything for this one. What's up with that? Let me run it again. I actually wanted you to see not giving me a list this time. I'll try it again. Oh, I can't. There we go. So I'm actually looking for 2 things. I want positive numbers across the bell curve, and then I would like a net price, well, as low as possible, so the trade doesn't cost much. Increases my probability of outcome. So theoretically, at least, this would be 100%. I got positive numbers across best case, expected return, and worst case, and a net price. These often don't stay this way. Market maker catches it, and they don't let us in at a nickel or a dime. But when it does work, it works pretty well. And like I said, particularly James, has been testing this for at least 3 or more earnings seasons. But we need Trade Finder to find these net prices and this outcome. So that's what I wanted you to see. You know, I just realized I didn't talk about updating the earnings plays module each day. I'll just show you what it looks like without going over these settings. We could talk about that later. It's already set up when you open it in the morning and you just click go, and it'll automatically update all the earnings information. And then depending on which of these little tabs you're looking for, earnings primes, earnings overs, earnings pairs. Let me bring up primes. You can take a look, and Len already has the information built into, you just right-click on each of these, and he has the information built in. You're going to do a straddle or a strangle or a calendar. These are the decisions you have to make, but he has statistics on past successes, 4 out of 8. What's the dollar volume of options? So that's liquidity. Stuff's already built into the module, so it's pretty cool. All right, let me go back to the main screen here. And I'm just going to kind of move forward by a day. The trade's in the hole right now. But it quickly jumped up. The volatility starts working pretty quick. I can move through the day. I actually ended up getting out on the 10th, the day of the report. Let me let it update a little bit here. Boy, thank you, Jim. It soothed my throat, not coffee. Okay, I'm going to jump forward to the next day, earnings report day. And the current gain was 260 in the morning. I let it go. I let it run for a little while. You can see it jumped over the 0 line. This is the gram dot. It's at 260. I intended to get out that day, and I ultimately did. I tried to wait a little while. My colleagues here said I should have waited longer, but once I was up fairly significant, I just really wanted to have the trade work. Oops, I went too far. And we can click on status, see where it's at. I made about 380 on this. I don't know why it's not bringing it in. But I would close this position. And I'm going to do it for you so you guys can see, especially the newer people. So I have to buy back the shorts and sell the longs. And I'm going to do it here. Go ahead and convert trades. Of course, we would do this with the broker first, and then we would do it on the software. Close the position. Let me change this back. It'll show up under realized gains and losses. I actually have a capital discussions that I set up. Oh, see, now it went in. That's just about what I made. I made 380. We came up 360. So pretty close to what actually happened. And we have other examples if anybody wants to talk about them. Herbalife was a good one this earnings season too. Some of us did it 2 or 3 times. That was about what I had today. If anyone has any questions, I'm Jeff at OptionVue.com. You're welcome to send them over if you want to talk about earnings module or anything in the software. We're always happy to walk through anything with you guys. I hope you know that I'm product, James is product. We're here for support. We have tech support. I know some of you guys have had some issues, so I'm happy to talk. But I particularly wanted to give you a little feel for the earnings module because it's now that I've been doing it for 3 earnings seasons and we're moving into April, which is another one, it's been a lot of fun. And you don't have to put on big plays to test it out. It's really a exciting tool that I never heard of until I came back here. Any other? Go ahead,
Tom. Comment from Jim Hamby. I guess when you had the existing positions on there's a button that you can click on that'll enter the trades to close in a position.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Maybe you can go in back trader a little bit and where you have existing positions, then that button will show up.
Jerry first says, hi, Jeff. Hey, Jerry. Let's see.
Yeah, there it is. On that little group of 6 buttons on the right, underneath the close
over
button.
Here?
Yeah, under the close button. The one on the lower left. That one.
Yeah,
Yep.
very good. You're right. I'm still learning those buttons myself, so I appreciate that, James. Very good. That was a good thing to put in. So it was this button right here. Also, if you're just clearing columns, it's right here. Oh.
Okay. I use the clear trades all the time.
And you guys know about the volatility information down in the lower right-hand corner, speaking of that?
Yep.
Right. Jim was reminding me to run variable when you're in Trade Finder, not EIOIO. So that's a good thing. That was down here in the lower right-hand corner and switching over to variable. Actually, variable's the default usually. I had switched it over to EIOIO. Let me clear that. Anything else, you guys? Thank you for that, James. That was good.
One trick I've been using that Ray McCarty showed me is if you hold down the Shift key and then you select strikes, either to buy, like in the trade column, it was left click, and to sell is right click. You can actually set up your spreads for the spread window very quickly, and I use that to monitor the market price before I'm putting in an order.
That's
so
good too.
Yeah, so hold the Shift key down and click on the trade column for an option. And you'll see like a +1. If you right-click, it'll be a -1.
Yeah, Len just started putting that in. You're right.
And then
he was showing me that the other day. That's a good tool too. Obviously, it didn't stick with me, of course.
Yeah, and then you just hit the spread button and pulls it up. It's really neat. Jim also asked, can you tell us about the education about earnings plays?
Yeah, if anyone's interested in trying this out in a shorter-term manner, we have an earnings plays course. Frank Fahey, who has over 30 years' experience, is running the course. You get the earnings module for 3 months. So if you want to try it out, that's a good way to do it. And Frank's a very experienced trader. He always has what I find very complicated trades going on. And the course is $750. So it's kind of a quick way to go over the earnings module and then maybe get some insight into earnings plays. The module itself runs $2,400, so you'd probably want to make sure that it's something you want to do. Earnings plays course would be a good way to approach it.
And then Robert had a question: what does variable volatility model do to the volatility calculations? I.e., uses a least square smoothing ?
Yeah, I'm still getting the hang of that myself. Could you please just email it to me and I will get the answer to you, Jeff@OptionVue.com. It's not just the variable model, which is the default. I can get you the information on the EIOIO and the uniform model and smoothing model. Happy to do it.
If you want me to attach it to the recording, I can, including that PowerPoint or maybe even that thing that Jim came up with his research on the earnings result or performance.
Yeah, that would be great. But his question is really good, so that would be a good thing for him to send over. And we have and I'll get a whole little handout on it, in other words.
Yep. Great. Looks like we ran out of questions, Jeff.
Thank you, Tom, for the opportunity, as always. Really love that you've put this together over the past year or so?
Yeah, probably a year and a half, I guess. So it's been fun. I get to interact with a lot of my friends, which is great.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we can still talk. So I love it. So
Yep.
kudos.
All right. Well, I won't keep you too long, Jeff. I know you got a cough you're kind of nursing. So thanks again for going through that and sharing your demos of the new features and things with OptionVue that people should know about. So thanks again.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you, everybody.
All right. We'll see you next time, everyone.
See you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, Jerry. Bye.